Faces fade to black as they move from the light. Am I even real? Even real? Everywhere I look, I'm starting to feel time is eating me alive, me alive. Drowning in alive. Who am I? Time is eating me My feet glued to the floor, I'm not moving anywhere. Locked inside of a crowd that couldn't care less. Everything was moving so fast. Everywhere I look, I'm starting to feel time is eating me alive, me alive. Drowning in alive. Who am I? Time is eating me Time moves on and on. Can I stomach it? Can I stomach it? Where did I go wrong? My fear built an appetite, but time is eating me alive, me alive. Drowning in alive. Who am I? Time is eating me I remember the moment I got left behind. Faces fade to black as they move from the light. Am I even real? Even real? Everywhere I look, I'm starting to feel time is eating me alive, me alive. Drowning in alive. Who am I? Time is eating me My feet glued to the floor, I'm not moving anywhere. Locked inside of a crowd that couldn't care less. Everything was moving so fast. Everywhere I look, I'm starting to feel time is eating me alive, me alive. Drowning in alive. Who am I?
Hello, travelers. Welcome in. Today, as you can see, we are doing Tales with Time. And for those of you who don't know what Tales with Time are or are new to watching me, Tales with Time is where I pick a story, or I guess you guys pick a story, and then we read it. Um, we've been on Dungeon Crawler Carl, which, if you don't know what that is, literally one of the best series I've ever read. We're in the first book. We're about halfway through it right now. But yeah, so Tales of Time. I have some rules up in the corner there. My little my little slideshow over there. But yes, we just read a book, and just so you know, not a professional reader. If you want like the professional like audiobook reading, which it is fantastic by the way, I recommend going and checking that out. Um, and also just checking out the actual book because it's just the best. Hi, Cheechin. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're doing Tales with Time today, so it's just a nice little reading day. I've got my my drink of today. It is ginger lemon tea because my throat is sore, and I was like, I almost like today too. I was like, I just don't know if I'm gonna like do the reading stream because that's a lot of talking. And I was like, but also Dungeon Crawler Carl, and also I wanted to stream. So, if I lose my voice tomorrow, well, fuck it. We're gonna vibe. Hi, Skelly. Hi, welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I saw was it Clockright, Louis. Skelly and Cheechin, welcome in, guys. Thank you for coming in. Nice. I'll lurk and listen in. I get it. Reading a lot on stream is rough, especially if you do voices at all. I do not. I'm also really bad at voices, so I'll sometimes like I won't realize it, but I'll sometimes start doing a voice for a character, and then I'll just completely forget what it is. So my reading is like very inconsistent, by the way. Very inconsistent. That's why I'm like, if you want to listen to like the actual audiobook version of this, it's so good. I can't remember who reads it, but you could do like a quick like, little Google search and you'll find it. But I've been doing voices for Look Outside, and afterward my voice is killing me. Yes. Hi, Lemus. Lemus. Chill out. I know. Lemus has been listening to this book, and now I've gotten him addicted to it. Lemus, did you know that there's like 8 other books in this series? By the way, I hope you know that. Because like after this book, I'm gonna do another voting, and you know what? The second book might not get chosen, Lemus. So no, I honestly one of my favorite series. But yes, I'm gonna go ahead and start because I want to try and get as far as we can in the book. I'm gonna go over the rules real quick for those who are new to this type of stream with me. My usual type of streams, I don't really have any rules. It's kind of like a free for all for the most part. Respect each other, whatnot. This one's the so we're reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. Basically, what it's about like the world is taken over by aliens, and the main character Carl, I think he's like ex National Guard. He's ex National Guard. You know it. You know it. For those of you who don't know it, he's ex National Guard. His ex's cat goes outside, and he goes outside to get her. Her name is Princess Donut. Literally the best character. And the alien invasion starts, and anyone in a building just like dies. And then like these doors open up in the ground that lead into a dungeon, and then he finds out that he's on a like alien like game show where he has to like dungeon crawl and like defeat these bosses and go down each floor, and it's just so good. I finished it not that long ago, or rather caught up with it. See, I have not. I've gotten to book four. Four. I think it's four. I need to read the other ones. And so I'm kind of hoping with this like reading series, I can both like reread what I've already read and then catch up with the other ones. But also I leave like the book choices up to you guys to vote on. So I make a little list, and then you guys vote on which ones you want from there. But yes, um Dungeon Crawler Carl. Also, I was going over rules. That's right. Are you planning to read the graphic novel version? I do want to, but I'm letting that one stew a little bit. Isn't that what Alien Stage is about? You know what, Nina? You're right. You're so right about that. That is like pretty much what it is. Except on Alien Stage, they just sing. In this one, they're actually beating up monsters. Specifically, Carl beats up monsters with his feet, which is just the greatest weapon ever. Um, what part are we on? We're in chapter 27, so they just defeated the Tuskling like orgy ball that they. Okay, hold on. Let me. So it's called. It was like it was called. It's a. I okay. Maybe I should have started with that. It was like a Tuskling like. It's the pig ball and the big maze. Yes, yes. They literally just like defeated it, and they're like I think about to talk to one of the last like surviving like Tusklings or pig monsters. I know, literally, I'm right there with you. I've been obsessed with it, and any person, like any of my coworkers, have heard me talk about it at least like twice. I haven't watched Alien Stage, but it's on my list. I like Alien Stage. I don't know like the complete lore to it, but I do. I like Alien Stage. It's very good. Right. Before we move on, let me get on to the rules because I'm gonna literally forget. Have you? I literally have. I love the Greatest Estate Developer so much. It's so good. I'm like I like if you haven't seen my TikTok, I post every now and then. I post like updates on my bookshelves and all that, and they're just packed full. And I'm waiting for them to release like physical versions of the Greatest Estate Developer because beautiful. It's just beautiful. We love it. I know that they have like they just finished the Greatest Estate Developer too, right? I'm pretty sure they did. Have my money. I would so read that on stream too. Well, I probably couldn't read it on stream. Well, no, I probably could, right? I mean, well, no, probably not because it's on Webtoons. But oh my gosh, I love the Greatest Estate Developer. I want to read what I would like to read on stream is the Lord of Mysteries, which oh no, the ads got hit. Well, anyway, I would like to read the Lord of Mysteries. They just recently turned it into an anime, and it's in the first season now. But I love the Lord of Mysteries. It's got like the Eldritch horror, and it's great. It's got great world building, and it's peak. It's peak. All right, it's just the best. But yes, let me go over the rules. I keep saying that and then I keep getting distracted. So let me go over them real quick. Tales with Time. So while we're reading, or while I'm reading, even if you know what the book is about, even if you know what happens in this book, please don't spoil it for anybody else in the chat because I guarantee you a good majority of you probably don't know what happens in the story. I personally, I don't mind spoilers. If you know me, which some of you do, I do not mind being spoiled. I cannot say the same for other people, so please do not spoil everyone else in the chat if you know what happens or you know what's going to happen, yada yada. I want to suggest read Hardcore Leveling. I have read Hardcore Leveling, but yeah, Webtoon sucks. Well, listen, I don't really read stuff on Webtoons, but you know what. And then rule number 2, please be respectful towards me and other people. You may have different opinions from everyone else about characters. You could have those opinions, that's fine, but don't hate on other people's opinions, please. Unless, of course, it's just, like, funny jokes and you guys are, like, friends or whatnot. But if, like, someone's like, I, like, hate Princess Donut, don't be like, well, you're a sinner. You're a sinner. Get out of here, you heathen. You can't do that. Don't do that. Our guesses and theories are perfectly okay. You can definitely do that. I personally love seeing it when people try to guess what happens. It's one of my favorite things ever. Because I know what happens, and you guys don't, and it just makes my day. Okay? And number 3, keep it cozy. Reactions are welcome. Just don't spam. Just don't spam. Which, that's just a general rule I have in, like, general on my thing. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not. Also, if you would like, you can bring up your cozy blankets and tea or whatever cozy drink you want. It could be hot chocolate. It could be coffee. I know some of you are staying up late. Listen, I know. I get that. I do. I try to drink tea when I can because, 1, it helps my throat when I'm reading a lot. And 2, I just like tea, which I have ginger lemon tea today. It's supposed to boost my immune system because I work with plague-ridden children. I do tend to do that, don't I? Well, I haven't done it. At least I don't think I have for this one yet. And I don't share anything I eat. And also, if you have long thoughts that you want to, like, talk with me about, like, maybe something, welcome back, Clock. We're just going over the rules right now. But if you have long thoughts, like, especially, like, if something happens in a chapter, you can go ahead and you can post that. I just won't read it until the end of the chapter. And I'll always ask for your thoughts at the end of the chapter. End of the chapter. I need... Oh! Damn, okay. I need to drink more green tea for my metabolism. Yes, yes. Oh, thank you for the sub clock. You're probably getting real annoyed of those ads. I could tell. Oh, why is my reading thing not working aloud? My little. Oh no, I know why it's not working. Hold on, Lemus. Well, I know why it's not working. Give me a minute because it's literally. Hold on. It's because I don't have it in this one. I need to put it in this one. There we go. Now you could try again, Lee. Sorry. I can read what you said, which also, that's fair. But I literally, I can't believe you still remember filming squirrels, but whatever. But yes, like, as I said, if you have, like, thoughts and opinions on the chapter, you are more than free to talk about it in chat. I just won't be able to read it until after I finish reading the chapter, where I usually go over, like, theories and whatnot with you guys and all that. I remember everything now. I'm gonna start in a minute. Mama, can I get a bedtime story? Yes, you may get a bedtime story. We're gonna jump into the bedtime story after I take a sip of my tea, okay? Listen, I'm thirsty as fuck. Ah! Damn. Okay. I hear you. We're gonna start. I know I've been yapping for a while now. Give me a minute. Oh, that shit's hot. I wasn't expecting it to be that hot. It's literally been sitting there for like 30 minutes. Why is it still hot as shit? I do not procrastinate. I don't procrastinate. I've never procrastinated a day in my life. Now read to us while I get tucked in. I'm going to, okay. Right, like I said last time where we left off, we just finished chapter 26. We're about to go into chapter 27. And they defeated the... They defeated the pig orgy ball, because that's like the best way I can describe it. Or let me look at what the actual name was, because I don't remember what it is. Oh, ball of swine is what it's called. Yes. And it describes what it is in one of them. Let me go back and find it, because I need you guys to like hear how they describe it, or how the system describes it, because it's just the best. Oh, the ball of swine. Level 15 Burrow Boss, also known as the Pork Chop Express. The Ball of Swine is one of the rarest, most deadly battle formations of the Tuskling, encompassing at least 30 Tuskling knights and their lady loves. A ball formation requires a specific set of circumstances to create. Combine a gathering of Tuskling aristocracy, out an alcohol-fueled, sexually charged orgy of warlust, and sometimes, just sometimes, the wild, ancient battle magic that permeates their war-torn world cast a spell, forming the ball. Yes, that's part of, like, the description. I'm not going to read the whole thing, because it's, like, literally, like, half a page long, but... Hi, Sharp V! Welcome in! We're literally just about to start reading. This is Tales with Time, so I just read a book. The book we're currently reading is Dungeon Crawler Carl. We're like midway through it, so it might be a little confusing. It's a really good read though, very good read. I definitely suggest checking out the book yourself, and they have a webcomic of it now too. So if you don't want to read or you don't like reading, the webcomic is a good option. They're supposed to be coming out with like a series too. Or a TV series is in the works, or a movie or something like that. I think it was a TV series, which I'm very excited for. Okay, I'm going to stop yapping. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get into chapter 27. Are we ready? I bet we are. All right, here we go. The last Tuskling to fall was different than the others. She was a level 8, a Tuskling dominatrix. She fell after being crushed under Brandon's hammer. The music stopped and the lights returned to normal. The world froze. The winner notification appeared. Behind me, Chris fell to his knees and he hung his head low. We just looked at each other, nobody saying anything. Amani fed Yolanda a health potion, and the woman sat up, wobbling, holding the side of her head. Agatha shuffled toward me, shaking her fist. Half of the woman's face was caked in blood, and she didn't seem to notice. "Give it back!" she cried. "Here," I said. I pulled the shopping cart into existence, a foot off the ground, and it crashed down loudly. "Hey!" she cried. She clutched an IKEA bag off the top and peered inside, as if afraid I'd stolen something. She poked suspiciously at the pink flamingo at the end of her cart. "You know you can put all of this stuff into your inventory," I said. "You don't need to wheel it around." "She hasn't gone through the tutorial," Yolanda said. The small woman, who still had blood all over her own face, pulled out a cloth and cleaned off Agatha's. "She doesn't have an inventory yet." That didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was that Agatha was level 2, not 1. How had she done that? She wasn't in the Metal Lark party. That meant she must have killed a mob. I wondered what the story was there. Actually, no, I realized, looking at Agatha now. She'd hit level 4, thanks to the boss. She hadn't done anything, but she'd been in the room, and that counted for something at least. Donut and I were both now level 10, halfway to 11. We'd received a ton of experience, more than I expected. Amani was level 11 now. Chris and Brandon had skipped level 7 altogether and were level 8. Yolanda had jumped from 5 to level 6. I didn't even want to think about how all that experience was distributed. It seemed there were a dozen different calculators running all at once to figure it out. It gave me a headache. We need to find whatever the boss dropped, I said. It's over there, Donut said. The dominatrix lady has it. I already got mine. For the first time, I looked about, taking stock of the damage we dealt. All of us had managed to survive relatively unscathed, but this section of the room and everyone in it looked like someone had spilled a giant can of SpaghettiOs on us from above. The crushed and disemboweled tuskling bodies lay everywhere, mixed in with the shattered pieces of our fortress. That didn't go as expected, Brandon said. He shook his hand, spraying blood everywhere. We're alive, I said as I reached down to loot the persistent item from the tuskling's corpse. The AI seemed to be doing a whispery David Attenborough impersonation as he read the description of the item. Burrowfield Guide. Ah, look at you. The intrepid explorer, alone, lost, afraid. But there is no reason to be frightened. Not today. Not now. Not when the trusty field guide has added monster types to this area of the map. Now, when you gaze upon the unknown, that fear is somewhat lessened. Instead of delving into the strange, mysterious dark, being devoured by an unseen horror, you will now know exactly what it is as it chews upon your tasty innards. I blinked at the description. Then I pulled up my mini-map, zooming it out. Sure enough, now the individual quadrants were outlined. Most of my screen was filled with the large arena, but the very edge of a few adjacent quadrants ringed the exterior of the map. I mentally hovered over one to the far southeast, in an area none of us had ventured to. The fog of war obscured the hallways themselves, but when I hovered over it, a tooltip popped up. Mobs level 2 through 5, Axebeak. That would be extremely useful, but like with the neighborhood map, the area was limited. Plus, one had to actually get to the center and kill the boss to get the information. I wasn't certain exactly how big a burrow really was in this game, though I suspected the area shrank the lower one went. Hey, are you kids doing okay? A voice called. It echoed in the large chamber. I turned to see an elderly man edging his way into the room with his walker. The walker made a click, click, click each time he pushed his way further into the chamber. We heard a loud noise, and the gate disappeared. Oh my, it smells something awful in here. Randall, don't come in here, Yolanda called, jogging toward the man. I turned my attention back to the carnage. I gazed at the hoofed feet of the tuskling inside. They had no shoes, and their legs were much too short. I picked up a loose tuxedo jacket. It was like a tent, and was covered with blood. It smelled like hot diarrhea. I put it into my inventory. Brandon came to stand next to me. The guy looked shell-shocked. It's weird, isn't it? I asked, indicating the carnage. They're from another world. They're aliens, right? But they're wearing tuxedos. Tuxedos are from Earth, not wherever they're from. I don't get it. I asked our guildmaster, Mistress Tiatha, the same thing, Brandon said. He reached down to pick something up from the floor. It was a sharp tooth. One of the mobs we had to fight early on was little fire-breathing monkeys wearing lederhosens. You know what I'm talking about, the weird German pantsuit shorts thing with the hats. They look like waiters at an Oktoberfest tent. Yeah, I know what you mean, I said. Well, anyway, she said the Sind... He paused, looking at the ceiling dubiously. The big guys. They not only seeded our world with the people millions of years ago, but they keep people here the whole time. Sometimes they're actual humans, but from other worlds. And these guys were steering culture, inventing stuff, writing books and songs that already existed. She said every world comes out with their own unique culture and language, but some things are universal. But why? I asked. What do they get out of it? It seems like so much effort. Brandon shrugged. I don't know. Maybe they think we'll integrate better if we already have some sort of common ground. But I don't know. We probably won't ever know. We only see what they let us. I looted the corpse of the Tuskling I killed myself. There was some jewelry that wasn't enchanted, including a ruby necklace that seemed pretty valuable according to my inventory list. I took that weird leather thing from the woman. The system labeled it as pig harness. There wasn't any other loot in my pile. I saw Amani holding what appeared to be an enormous strap-on dildo with 2 fingers. She dropped it on the floor with a look of disgust. Donut hopped over and took it into her own inventory. She looked up at me. Everything, right? I nodded. Everything. I salvaged all the ninja stars I could find, I salvaged all the ninja stars I could find, and all the remaining pieces of pieces of the redoubt. Jesus. I had a new tab in my inventory labeled worthless garbage. I also spent a few minutes surreptitiously looking around the arena for the remains of the party that had gone before us. Their X's didn't appear on the map, just as they hadn't with the elderly folk Amani had killed. I didn't know why. There was probably a tight time limit on that sort of thing, but I didn't know for certain. This game had so many damn rules, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Finally, Donut and I approached the stairwell. The force field was gone. The timer was at 5 hours and counting. I looked back over my shoulder at the others. Brandon was talking quietly with his brother, while Yolanda and Amani had started bringing the others into the large room. Chris jogged off as I watched. I knew exactly where he was going. He was headed toward the safe room. He'd tell the 30 folks waiting that they could leave if they wanted to. What do you want to do? I quietly asked Donut. Whatever do you mean? We're going to go down those stairs, and it's going to be a whole new floor with new challenges. We can either stick with these guys, or we can keep doing our own thing. Donut looked up, her large yellow eyes boring into mine. Oh, Carl, how is it I know what you're going to do before you do? She asked. I looked at the gathering group of elderly folks, and I nodded. Shit. God damn it, Donut, I said. She was right, of course. What was the point of living if I couldn't live with myself? I reached into my pocket and I pulled out my last cigarette. I looked at it for a long moment. I popped it into my mouth and I lit it. It tasted like ash. I suggest we do what we've been doing, Donut said. It doesn't have to be one or the other option. We set up a place for them to remain safe, and then you and I go out and do our own thing. We can keep our own party and set up a group chat with the others. I know how to do it now. When we find the next set of stairs down, we go get them and bring them with us. I grinned down at the cat. I knew there was a good kitty in there somewhere. She bristled. If it were up to me, I'd leave them all. But I know you're a softie. Besides, if we get them down to that 3rd floor, we'll need someone with thumbs if you're going to turn into a cat. I'm not turning myself into a cat, I said. I couldn't even if I want to anyway. Mordecai said so. I dropped the cigarette, unfinished. I ground it out on the floor. I went to kneel and patted her. She let me. By the way, I asked as I stroked the cat, I've been meaning to ask you, who's Ferdinand? Donut pulled away at that, her tail swishing. I have no idea whatever you're talking about. Whoever that is, he sounds like someone awful. Wait, where's Agatha? I looked about for the woman. I didn't see her. Had she gone outside? I turned toward the stairs, and I noticed they weren't stairs at all, but a long ramp. Shit! The woman was going to get herself killed. Okay, here's the plan, I said to Brandon later after we finished examining the stairwell. We're going to go down there and make sure the area is clear for you and your people. Do you need our help with your people? No, Brandon said. We got it. You don't want to go and open your boxes first? I do, I said, but the closest place to do it is pretty far, and I don't want to tempt fate. We'll go down and try to find the closest safe room. Our guy said that they're just as easy to find as the second floor, Our guy said they're just as easy to find on the second floor as the first. Once we do, we'll carve a safe place to it. Okay then, Brandon said. He held out his hand. Thank you. I mean that. I shook it. He then went to his knees and scratched Donut. You too, Princess Donut. Of course, sweetheart, she said, pushing her head against his hand. Oh, Brandon said, and trying to find Agatha if you can. She's a crazy asshole, but she's our crazy asshole. I nodded. We turned and headed toward the stairs. I looked at Donut. You ready? She flipped her tail, and I followed her down the ramp. At the bottom of the stairs turned ramp was a door almost identical to the one we'd used to enter the dungeon. I stared at the giant carving of the fishman. Go fuck yourself, I thought as I put my hand against the door. I pushed. But instead of the gate opening like last time, there was a flash of light and a moment of disorienting nausea, followed by a quick feeling of falling. And then, suddenly Donut and I were standing in a plush room staring at a strange round door. All of my status bars had disappeared. I churned in a circle, bewildered. There was a couch that appeared to be made of blue crushed velvet. I stood upon a soft, thick carpet, also blue. There was a strange sense of motion to the room, and I immediately knew we were on a boat. I could tell right away from the experience that this vessel was large, but not huge. Maybe 100 feet? At the far end of the room was a bar with an honest-to-goodness fruit basket sitting on it. Sitting next to the basket was a stemmed bowl filled with what seemed to be cat food. Instinctively, I made a fist, and my gauntlet appeared. Only partially relieved, I unsummoned my weapon. "What the fuck is this?" I asked. But the second the words came out of my mouth, I knew exactly what this was. Donut was literally hopping up and down, her tail ramrod straight. Carl, it's happening. It's really happening." Just as my addled brain was coming to terms with our sudden change of scenery, the door arised open. A woman wearing a simple black dress stepped in, clutching onto a tablet. She was human, but clearly not from Earth. She was absurdly thin. Not anorexic. She just seemed more squished than regular human. She stood about 5'5", so a normal height, but her head was only about 3/4 as wide as it should be, making her appear almost elf-like. But without the prerequisite pointed ears, she seemed to be about my age, and her features were Asian, but with long blonde hair she kept in a tight bun. "Hello, Carl and Your Majesty Princess Donut," she said, speaking in Syndicate standard. Her voice was light and musical, almost cartoonish. "My name is Lexus. I am an associate producer for the program Dungeon Crawler After Hours with Odette. Congratulations on that last battle, and congratulations on making it down to the second floor. Odette would love to interview you two on air regarding your progress so far." Donut squealed with pleasure. And that was the end of chapter 27, and also the end of part 1. Now we're going into part 2. So while I give you guys time to say whatever comments you want to say and whatnot, I'm gonna drink some tea, because my throat is already starting to scratch. Woo. You know, it's not as, lemony or gingery as I thought it would be, but it's not bad. Really isn't. Ugh. Donut is such a wuss. I love Donut. I love Donut so much. No, but I could see what you mean. At first, when I, first read this book, I was like, I don't really care much for Donut. She seems, actually useless, but let me tell you, Lemus, you might eat your words. You might. Or maybe you'll just be a stubborn ass and be like, no, I just hate her no matter what. No matter what. I still don't like her, yeah. Alright. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start getting on to the next chapter, because I did take a while yapping in the beginning, so I want to try and make up that time a little bit by getting as far as we can. Chapter 28. I am a big dragon. I'm a big dragon. Rawr. Alright, chapter 28. "Okay," Lexus said as I sat down on the couch, my head spinning. I was still covered in blood, and I suddenly felt very, very dirty. "We'll be ready for you in about 20 minutes. Please relax and avail yourselves of the complimentary treats," she indicated the bar. Okay, Donut said. I still couldn't believe it. Actually, I could believe it. 5 nights ago, I'd gone to bed, and everything I'd been worried about that was so stupid, so petty, so small. I read that sentence weird. Anyway, we were about to be interviewed on a program that would be seen by trillions of people. "A couple of things," Lexus continued, talking fast. "I know this is probably disorienting to you, being your first interview. Right now, you are standing in what is called a production trailer. It is located on the surface of your planet. You are still technically in the game, even though you can't use your menus. Like safe rooms, production trailers have their own rules. Too many to discuss now." She reached forward and touched my shoulder. She felt hollow, almost weightless, like a bird. "I am really here right now with you. However, my engineer and I are the only other people here. When you walk through that door," she pointed over her shoulder, indicating the oval-shaped entrance that opened and closed like a camera shutter, You're going to walk onto a studio set. From what I understand, the setup should be very familiar to your culture. The studio, including Odette and the entire audience, is not really there. The couch is there, but everything else is virtual. They are filming from a location very far away. I'm supposed to tell you it is similar to the holodeck from your television series Star Trek. However, you won't be able to touch anything. Any other guests, even fellow crawlers, will also be hollow, at least for this interview. You are the only callers in this particular production trailer. I will tell you when it's time, and you will walk onto the set. You will wave, and you will proceed directly onto the couch next to the desk. Your Majesty sitting closer to Odette. Do not approach the audience, or you will run into a wall that you can't see. That room is not as big as it appears. Questions? I just stared at the woman. I hadn't felt this out of my element since the moment the dungeon first opened. Makeup? Donut asked. Not for this interview, Your Majesty, Lexus said. The audience will have just watched a highlights reel of your time in the dungeon, followed by the entirety of that last boss fight. It will appear as if you walked straight from the fight to the stage. Got it, Donut said. So we address her as Odette? Correct. Live or taped? It's taped, though it will be tunneled in just a few short hours. What's the tone of the show? Is it more editorial or more fluff? What works better with your audience? Do you want us to be serious and more technical, or should I let Carl be Carl? Donut was asking these questions as if she'd been doing this her whole life. A smile tugged at the corner of Lex's mouth. This is a private production about the crawl. It won't be censored. The more entertaining you are, the better it will play. Got it, Donut said. Hold up a second, I said. What do you mean by private production? Lexus turned to me. The main program, Dungeon Crawler World, Earth, is owned by the Syndicate government, and this season it is produced by the Borant Corporation. Syndicate rules allow for private production companies to produce their own programs as long as they pay for the production themselves and pay an advertising stipend. This particular show, Dungeon Crawler After Hours with Odette, will tunnel immediately after the main program. It is produced by the Titan conglomerate with production assistance by over a dozen participating independent systems. It is the largest, most tunneled private program in existence. The host, Odette, is the most beloved interviewer and program host in the history of the galaxy. So try and make a good impression. Wonderful, I said, leaning back. Just wonderful. Next to me, Donut was shaking with excitement. Literally shaking. Anything else we should know? Donut asked. Nope, Lexus said. Just be yourselves. Have fun with the questions and you'll be fine. Thank you, Lexus, Donut said. That'll be all. Great, Lexus said. She hit a button on her tablet, turned, and strode out of the room. I looked at the cat sitting next to me, and I wondered not for the first time if this was all a dream. An hour and a half earlier, I'd been certain I was about to die, and now I was aboard some sort of yacht from another planet, ready to be interviewed on an intergalactic talk show. Okay, Donut said the moment Lexus left the room. She started to frantically clean herself. Let me do all the talking, unless Odette asks a question directly to you. I just can't believe it. I am so excited. Just be careful, okay? I said. I stood, moving toward the odd door. It did not open on its own. There were no windows, but there was a small door by the bar. I pushed it open, revealing a bathroom with a litter box. Above the toilet was a round porthole about the size of a dinner plate. I stood upon the toilet, straining on my tiptoes to peer outside. It was dark, and I couldn't see a thing, except the glint of the moon off relatively calm water. Stars shone in the night sky. I felt an unexpected longing at the sight of the stars. I put my hand against the window to see if I could push it open. Whatever this was, it wasn't glass. There didn't appear to be a way of escape. I wondered what would happen if I formed my gauntlet and punched the window as hard as I could. Probably nothing, and even if we did escape, then what? We were in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of winter, and I still didn't have pants. Careful of what? Donut asked from the other room. These people aren't our friends, I said, coming back into the room. I took a banana from the fruit basket, peeled it, and took a bite. Don't forget that. I attempted to put the rest of the fruit and the basket into my inventory, but my menus weren't working at all. There was no garbage can in the room. An oversight. I tossed the peel on the counter. Do you want this cat food? I asked, sniffing at it. Are you crazy? Donut said. And get it all over my face? There was a little bag sitting behind the bowl of wet cat food. Perfect cat treats. They had done their research. I picked up the bag and shook it. Donut was on the counter a half a second later. Okay, but just one. I took an apple and bit down as Donut ate her fifth treat. The apple suddenly reminded me of the dead, naked form of Rebecca W. I put it back in the basket, no longer hungry. Carl, Donut said as she crunched down on another treat. Out there with all the punching and grunting and the disgusting exploding goblins. That is your world. She made a motion with her paw indicating this room. This is mine. I know this might be difficult for you to understand, but I've been doing this my entire life. Every cat show I have ever done is an interview. I was bred for this. Let me do my thing. You didn't talk before, I said, and having a judge stick her finger up your ass is not the same thing as being interviewed for a television show. I have never had anybody ever stick anything up there, thank you very much. Really, Carl, don't be so crude. This is why I'm to do the talking. Okay, you two, Lexus said, coming into the room. Let's go. Don't be surly. You can be surly sometimes, Donut whispered as we lined up outside the door. A small ping emanated from Lexus's tablet. The door irised open. Arised open. Irised? I-R-I-S-E-D. Arised. Sorry. Open. Go, Lexus said, putting her hand on my back, pushing. Smile and wave. Smile and wave. I was propelled out of the room, Donut walking in front of me with her tail swishing back and forth as we moved from the small room into a giant, brightly lit set. I was momentarily blinded as we stepped out, and even though we hadn't really moved off the surface, I was briefly overwhelmed. I am seeing something from another world. Holy shit. Oh, I'm choking. Hold on. Alright, there we go. Well, I heard the audience before I saw them. They were going berserk. Hoots, hollers, and animal-like trills filled the room, shaking the floor. I realized, belatedly, that I had stopped. Donut, seeing I had stopped, also paused, but she made it look like it was on purpose. She circled, sat down halfway between the door and the couch, and she rolled on her side, hopping up onto her feet and swishing her tail. Her armored skirt poofed out with a little jingle as she hopped. The cheers got louder. I used the moment to look about the room. It was just as Lexus has described. It was a black stage with a space-themed nebula background. The colorful spinning cloud of blue and red space dust and the dots of distant stars filled the back wall. Odette's desk was, well, a desk. It sat next to a couch identical to the one in the waiting room. The green room, Donut had called it, even though it was blue. The set could have been from any Earth talk show, with a couple of glaring differences. There were no visible cameras. The light seemed to come out of nowhere, appearing and disappearing without any sort of physical source. The audience was mostly in shadow, and it was a large room with seats and something else, viewing pods of some sort, stretching up in a stadium pattern. I watched as some of the audience members vanished, flickering and reappearing. The crowd was a shadowy sea of aliens of all types. Humans, pig-headed orcs similar to the ones we just killed, and eagle-headed creatures like Mordecai's True Four, bug-eyed, expressionless gray aliens, tentacled things, dozens of others, too many to take in. The viewing pods were filled with murky water, and I caught sight of what might have been a Kuatin, though much thinner than the image in the door carving. And then there was Odette. Looking upon the woman, it was difficult for my brain to put it all together. I kept thinking, what the fuck? What the fucking fuck? Over and over. Part crab, part praying mantis, part centerfold for Jugs Magazine's Freaks of Nature issue. I just stared, not able to tell if I was looking at one creature, or two, or five. But then she moved, and something clicked in my brain, allowing it all to come together. Odette was a naked crab tar wearing a bug mask. The lower body of the woman was entirely crab, black and red with a lumpy shell and multiple chitinous legs. The shape and makeup of the shell were that of a king crab, but the size of a brown bear. Her body seemed completely separate from the rest of her form. The legs crowded one another, unable to tuck themselves underneath the desk. The legs seemed to twitch on their own accord, malevolent, ready to strike. Her triangular bug head was black, with mirrored compound eyes the size of footballs. Twin antennae spread from her head with a span with a span over at least 6 feet, as wide as the crab body. But the I cannot talk today. But the oddest part of this woman was her torso. Her naked ebony body, from her stomach to her neck, was that of a plus-sized woman model, or human model, who had bribed a third-world plastic surgeon into enhancing her breast well beyond anything that could ever be considered natural, or sexy, or anything other than what the fuck. The colossal breast sat atop the table like a pair of pigs suckling against their mother. Her nipples faced downward, her areolas absurdly oversized, even on the massive breasts, each the size of a DirecTV satellite dish. There was no conceivable way, even as big as she was, that her body could sustain those ginormous breasts without her back breaking like a twig. Jesus, no wonder this show is so damn popular. Donut looked up at me, her yellow eyes pleading for me to move. I took a deep breath, plastered a smile on my face, and I waved. Then I walked toward the couch. Odette calmed the crowd as we settled down. She waved her human-like arms as everyone She waved her human-like arms at everyone to be quiet. She had long fake nails that curved like claws. They were painted blue, matching the couch. Her body moved oddly, rising up and down as the crab body readjusted itself. She raised herself up as we sat, making it so her chest didn't block the audience's view of her praying mantis head. They placed a large pillow on the seat so Donut could sit atop it. The cat jumped up and sat straight. "Welcome, welcome," Odette said, her voice surprisingly feminine, though she sounded older than I expected. "Your Majesty, it is a pleasure to have you here." "Thank you so much, Odette," Donut said. "The pleasure is all ours. Carl and I have been looking forward to meeting you. When I first heard about you, I couldn't stop thinking, I really want to get on that couch and meet her." Donut turned her face to the crowd. Her voice had gone up in pitch, something sounding nothing like her regular speaking voice. "And meet all of you guys. I dare say, what a great-looking audience. I'd much rather be here than with those filthy goblins. How's everyone doing tonight?" The couch vibrated with the sound of the crowd's pleasure. "You enjoying the show?" Donut asked. Again, screams. "Now let me ask you something," Odette said. She turned and leaned in. Her massive breast barely sloshed over, as if she had some sort of accordion system connecting her chest with the boobs. "So, you might not realize this, but we've been watching you two from the beginning. You might not be getting any love with the official program, but you two are quite the sensation. We are so excited to have you on the show tonight. But something that people want to know is about your title, Princess Donut. So you are Earth royalty?" No, I thought. "Don't." "Why, yes, I am, Odette," Donut said. "Now you have to understand, Earth has a ruling class. The humans," she glanced sideways at the crowd and lifted her paws. "Thumbs. It's all about the thumbs." The crowd laughed. "But amongst cats, which is what I am, we have what's called an elective monarchy. But it's really just a beauty contest. My full name is GCBWRNW Princess Donut, the Queen and Chonk. I wouldn't think of boring you guys with all my titles." She leaned toward the audience and stage whispered, "GC stands for Grand Champion." I realized I was staring at Donut, as if she'd just sprouted a corn dog from her forehead. I had to consciously make an effort to close my mouth. An elective monarchy? Where the hell did that come from? Who was this cat? And what had she done with Donut? Odette nodded. I could not read any sort of expression on her bug face. "And you've won this beauty contest?" Donut flipped her tail, and I swear to God the cat fucking winked. She looked right into the middle of the crowd and asked, her voice seductive, "What do you think?" The crowd roared. "I love it. You two are so adorable. I'm so happy to have you here with us." Her bug gaze focused on me. "Ah, shit." "So, Carl, before you come on, I promised my audience I'd get you to say it." I looked at her blankly. "Say what?" I asked. "You know," Odette said. She waved her hand as if she was trying to coax it out of me. "Your catchphrase." This is not real life. This can't be real life. I have no idea what you're talking about. Odette turned toward the audience. "He doesn't know what I'm talking about," she laughed. They laughed. "I'll tell you what. I'll give you a hint." A screen appeared, floating in mid-air in front of me. It was me and Donut from above. It was a scene from early on. We were peering into an alleyway, and a moment later I leaped back as a blob of lava rocketed out toward us. I screamed, "God damn it, Donut!" The scene changed. I was being attacked by a pair of cockroaches while Donut watched from a pile of garbage. God damn it, Donut! I screamed. The scenes kept changing over and over, each time ending with me saying the same thing. I'd say it lasted. I'd said it at least 15 times. Odette cocked her head at me. Figure it out yet? I sighed inwardly, doing my best not to let my dismay show. God damn it, Donut, I said. Boisterous cheers followed. Now, let's go back to one of those clips we just watched, Odette said. I was hoping to get some insight from you guys. Of course, Donut said. That scene with the cockroaches appeared. I heard my voice call out, "A little help here!" It was the final moments of our battle with the hoarder. My stomach dropped, watching that scene from above. The camera focused on my own face. I was stricken with how scared I looked. The blasting music from the fight was gone. The giant woman was gagging and sobbing, and the visceral sound shook my bones. "She's almost dead. You can kill them when you kill her," Donut cried on the video. The clip ended, and the audience was screaming with laughter. "Now, Carl," Odette said. Her breast made a slight sloshing noise on the desk. "What are you thinking here, when Donut wasn't helping you?" "It happened so fast," I said. "I wasn't thinking anything." "And you, Donut? You saw him there, surrounded. You're stronger than him." Odette waved her hand, and our stats appeared floating in the air above us. "Wow, a lot stronger than him." Bless me. "Yet here we are," Donut said. "Carl handled it like a champion he is. And besides, darling, if he was in real trouble, I would have certainly helped, like I did with that juicy boss we faced." She looked at me. "What was his name? Juicy? Juiced? The Juice? Now that was a fight, wasn't it?" The crowd roared with their approval. We talked for about 5 minutes. Odette would ask a question about something that happened. Donut would answer. She had the crowd eating out of her paws. Odette asked me about my pants. They showed Donut asking if there was a reward for worst dressed in the dungeon, and it showed me standing there looking pitiful in my knee pads. The words "worst dressed" appeared, floating over me. I pretended to laugh. "So what's next for you two? Do you intend on staying with Team Meadowlark?" Odette asked. That's the plan for now," Donut said. "It depends on what we find on the next floor." She flicked her tail a few times. "But I want to tell you something, Odette." She stood on the chair facing the audience. "I promise all of you, you guys are going to want to follow me and Carl. You're going to want to favorite us, because whatever it is we face, we're not just going to kill them." "No?" Odette asked, amused. "Oh, no. We are going to kill them big. We are going to kill them with style." 30 seconds later, and the audience was still screaming. Odette had to shout over her own crowd. "We are out of time, but thank you so much, Carl and Her Royal Majesty Princess Donut. Good luck to you two. I will see you all next time." The throng continued to go berserk. She'd stolen that line from Mordecai. "Kill them with style? Really?" I whispered. But Donut didn't answer. She hadn't heard me. She stood on the edge of the pillow, standing like that damn lion from The Lion King, her chest heaving with pride as she looked back into the holographic mass of adoring fans. Her eyes sparkled. I suddenly had a feeling of dread. That look, that hunger. That was dangerous. She'd had but a single taste, but I could already tell. She was addicted to this, to the crowd, to the cheers. It was going to be a problem. "God damn it, Donut," I muttered. And that is the end of chapter 28. It was a good chapter. I enjoyed that one. Just because of how, like, it was set up with, like, the interview and how well, like, Donut did. Because, like, she was definitely bred to be, like, just a show star, honestly. And I just love her for it. Yes. I, like, forgot about that scene, and so I started reading, and I was like, oh, fuck, I literally forgot about this. The booby lady. And also the way Carl just, like, describes the noises her boobs make whenever she moves. The sloshing noise. Like, they're just big water balloons filled up. Oh my god, I can't. It's crazy. Alright, we're gonna move on to the next chapter. Any last minute comments? Anything like that? Before I move on, I'm trying to chug as much water as I can. I feel like the more, like, the closer it gets to night, well, it's already nighttime for me, but, like, the darker it gets outside, the more my body just, like, shuts down and is like, oh, you are feeling all good today, and now you're gonna feel like shit. But really, it's just my throat. I know it's just like sinuses draining and stuff. So I've just been trying to chug a bunch of water and like immune boosters and whatnot. All right. But anyway, we're going to move on to chapter 29. Chapter 29. The lights of the studio flipped all the way on, and the audience snapped away. The studio reigned, but the bleachers were just gone. Odette remained behind the desk. Great show, everyone, Odette said, looking up at the ceiling. There wasn't anybody else in the room that I could see. She looked over our shoulders. Give us 5, Plexus. Watch the packets and ping me if one of those AIs sticks their nose in here. I want to talk to our guests for a minute without anybody snooping. I turned to see Lexa standing at the door that led back into the green room. Yes, ma'am, Lexa said, backing into the other room. The door closed. Odette looked down at Donut. I do that too. Pretend to not really remember someone's name. You should see them preen when I suddenly do remember. You, Donut, are a natural. Great job. We had that Lucia Marr and her 2 mongrels on stage before you, and that little psychopath does not know how to work a crowd. One of her dogs mauled my producer. It's a nightmare. God, I gotta get out of this thing. Give me a moment. I watched in horror as the alien reached up and removed her own head. But it wasn't a head after all. The praying mantis skull was actually a helmet. It pulled away to reveal a human woman, approximately 60 years old. Her eyes were just a little wide for her face to pass as someone from Earth. A moment later, the woman's crab body skittered back, and the chest with the enormous breasts remained attached to the desk. Her whole torso peeled away, revealing a dark shirt. She wore a necklace with a heart on it. If it weren't for the crab body and the eyes, she'd look like any other human. What the hell? I said, looking at her. Is the body fake too? Everything you see is fake, Odette said. This is show business. There was a loud crack, and I watched, fascinated, as she pulled herself from the crab body using her 2 arms. The crab collapsed with a clatter, like it had just died. Its legs curled in on themselves. Where was I? Yeah. Odette did not have any legs. Her body stopped right at her stomach. A flat disc zipped up from under the desk. She pulled herself onto the platform, and she floated in midair, able to control her movement. The legless human zoomed around the desk and came to hover in front of the couch. Her magical wheelchair emanated a slight buzzing sound. Much better, she said, sighing. People think it's the same crab each time, but it's not. We keep a whole nest of things out on the ranch, and we have to kill a new one each time I go on camera. We don't advertise that, lest we raise the ire of one of the many animal and mob rights protest groups. Of all the things to dress up as, I asked, still looking at the bizarre pair of bodiless breasts sitting on the table. Why that? I couldn't even tell what that is. Oh, you will, she said. The entire getup was my armor when I was like you. It was what I was wearing when I reached the stairwell for the 13th floor. It's how people know me. How was that boob thing armor? Young man, Odette said. This gear you have now, this loot, it's nothing compared to what's coming. Mordecai, our trainer guy, he said only one person ever made it to the 13th floor, and it was a dude. He died, I said. That's true, Odette said. I never went down the stairs. I'd struck a deal. That's a long story, and it's not for today. But I'm glad you brought up Mordecai. That's who I actually want to talk to you about. I know this is his last crawl. I'd like for you to tell him to seek me out when this is all over. Mordecai? How do you know each other? Donut asked. Were you on the same season? They couldn't have been, I said. Odette is human and Mordecai's a bird guy. They're from different planets. They're called skyfowl, Odette said, and my season was long before Mordecai's. I was his trainer. In fact, that's how I found you. I keep an eye on him, and I watched you guys as you stumbled into his guild room. His trainer? Wow, I said. That must have been a really long time ago. It was, Odette said. So, can I count on you? I shrugged. Sure, we'll tell him. She nodded. Thank you. Now, I'm going to give you guys some advice. Don't talk about this out loud once you go back. The mud skippers won't like it. Mud skippers, I said? You mean I paused, looking at the ceiling. They can't hear you in here. But don't say that phrase in the dungeon. Mud skipper. They attempted to get it listed as hate speech by the syndicate a couple cycles back. Hardly any hardly anyone called them that until they made a big deal about it. But yes, that's what I mean. The Kuatin. Borant. Nobody likes the Kuatin. At least not their system of government. Borant is a different story. Some of these folks are okay. All they want is to put on a good show. I'm sure they were incensed when they were forced into this early release. I looked at Donut. We won't say anything, I said. Good. First thing, you're going to step onto the second floor, and in a day or so, you're going to find your social numbers have gone meteoric. Yeah? Those people are following you, Carl and Donut. So when you go down to the third floor, you, she pointed at Donut, need to stay as cute as a cute cuddly cat. They'll tempt you with some very powerful creature races. Going viral early is both a blessing and a curse. People are in love with Donut the cat, not Donut the saber-toothed void leopard. Don't change your race, whatever you do. I've seen it happen dozens of times. They change and their numbers plummet. It's why nobody sponsors a crawler earlier than the fourth floor now. I wouldn't even consider it, Donut said. That's my girl, Odette said. And me? I asked. She shrugged. People are used to seeing humans, so it's not as crucial for you to stay the same. As long as it's not too different. If she stays that tiny little thing, she's going to need to be protected. Mordecai will be the one to lead you through the process of picking a race and class. There will be a lot of information. He won't be allowed to steer you, at least not overtly, but if I taught him anything, it's how to help you decide for yourself. I don't know what's going to be on the table. It's different every season. Listen for his clues. He knows what he's doing. He's going to do his best to guide you. Okay, I said, thanks. Also, she added, if you want pants, you should probably stop bitching about not having them. So it's like I suspected, I said. The loot boxes aren't really random. Of course not, said Odette. It's even written into the rules. Look at me. She floated back, holding out her arms. I lost my legs to a fiend scythe on the 11th floor. I was all but dead. I dragged myself to a safe room, opened my boxes, and I received this. She poked a black belt around her waist, just above the line where her legs were gone. In a golden box. This is a legendary item, at least. It allows me to attach body parts of other monsters to myself. I had to drag myself back out there and kill that crab first, but I took its body as my legs, and I continued on my way. Your legs don't grow back? Donut asked. No, Odette said. Not if they're completely severed off, but that's not the point. People were watching me. I had 5 sponsors, a record at the time. Me dying alone in a safe room was not good for anyone involved. They didn't care if I lived or died, as long as that death was glorious. So they gave me the perfect item to compel me to get my ass back out there and at least try. Yes, this is a game. Yes, there are controls in place to make it fair, sort of. But, more importantly, this is for profit. Venture in the entertainment industry. And if you staying alive means more profits, then you'll find your loot to be a lot more convenient. But if the AI senses screwing you over will make the show more interesting, you better believe it'll fuck you right in the ass at the worst possible moment. Don't ever forget that. You can't count on anybody but yourself. So, no more complaining, I said. At least not out loud. Not when it's funny for you to knot up pants. She turned to Donut. Or when someone hisses every time they get another torch in one of their boxes. Donut swished her tail angrily. I have 230 torches in my inventory. It's absolutely ridiculous. One last piece of advice, Odette said. Never trust someone unless you know what they're getting out of it. Never trust someone if their motivations aren't clear. Mordecai, for example. He won't tell you this, but the season doesn't count against his indentureship unless one of his crawlers makes it to the 4th floor. So if we don't make it, he's stuck until the next season, I asked. He's stuck until the next Borant-sponsored season, which will be at least another 7 or 8 seasons after this one. And with the political environment as it is, a lot of people aren't certain Borant will be around that long. All indentureship contracts get frozen during a bankruptcy seizure action. Wait, what? I asked. She waved her hand. That's not something you need to worry yourselves over. Concentrate on the crawl. Donut jumped down from the couch and ran to the far wall. She stopped about halfway across the room, her face smushing against an invisible barrier. It appeared the studio went deeper than it really did. She put her feet up on the invisible wall, making it look as if she was standing on 2 feet. "Carl, look," she said. "The room is quite odd." "Remember what Lexa said?" I called out to her. "We're not really in the studio. That's the far end of the boat. Be careful." I turned back to Odette. "Whatever you guys did to her is wearing off," I said. The woman nodded. She didn't even deny it. She was also watching the cat pounce around the end of the room. "In many ways, she's still a child. It's part of the reason why so many are enchanted with her. It works well in the dungeon. But for interviews, sometimes, they need a little nudge." I bit my lip. I didn't know if I should be angry or not. "What did you do?" She shrugged. "It's nothing insidious. It was in her cat treats. It's temporary. It increases her wisdom and a few confidence stats by 1.5. Not much. It makes for a better interview. It's no different than drinking a glass of strong wine." "I thought wisdom wasn't a stat anymore," I said. "Oh, honey, everything is a stat. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not really there. But you're more right than you realize. None of those top-tier stats you see are real. Not truly. A higher intelligence doesn't mean you're smarter. It means you have more mana points. It means you can remember things better. It's really a mismatch of 100 other stats all combined." Donut came back, her tail swishing. "This room is much smaller than it looks." "So how about you, Odette? What are your motivations?" I asked as I stood from the couch. It was time to go. "For helping us, I mean. You said not to trust anyone until you know what their motivations are." The older woman smiled. My audience loves you. The longer you stay alive, the more money I make. And there is nothing I love in the universe more than money. Now get back in there and try not to die." And that was the end of chapter 29. It was a shorter chapter, having a little talk with Odette. We find out she's actually pretty human, and her whole getup was pretty much fake. Which I don't know if you could tell from the beginning, but yeah. It was pretty fake. Her big boobies are fake. But I mean, did you really think they were gonna be real? I could tell you I didn't. I was like, there's no way. But no, I like Odette because she's very like realistic, and she's right. She's like, this is the show business. You got to do whatever it takes to like thrive and survive. And I just like her personality for that because she's just so realistic, and she's kind of like you would still love them. I would, Lemus. You're so right. But she's kind of like a reality check a bit for Carl. I feel like because Carl's just like. He knows he has to survive. He has to do all this stuff, and he's been too trusting, I feel like. So her saying like you need to find out their motivations first before you trust anybody. I wouldn't say he's like completely trusting. He still has like his moments where he doubts people, but you never know. The closest people to you could betray you, right? I'm drinking some water real quick. All right. Let me see how long chapter 30 is. I'm quite curious. I feel like it's not too long of one. Yeah, it's a more of a short chapter 2 for chapter 30. Okay. My throat is starting to hurt a bit, so this may be the last chapter I read because it is starting to hurt quite a bit, and the tea is not helping as much as I thought it would. And you could probably hear it in my voice. Like, it's like getting hard to swallow my water. I'm not gonna lie. So this might be the last chapter. I will not lie. So it might end up being a bit of a shorter stream today, which I'm sorry for. But we'll try. We'll try our best. Chapter 30. Dungeon Floor 2. Views 0. Followers 0. Favorites 0. "There's nobody on my list," Donut said. "I don't have any followers yet." Hi, welcome in. We're doing Tales with Time. We're currently reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. So curl up, grab a blanket and your favorite drink, and listen on in. Where was I? Oh, we'd been on the second floor for about 5 seconds. Thankfully, Brandon and his crew hadn't come down yet. We still had 2 hours until the collapse, and I suspected they were waiting to see if Chris could convince the 30 folks holed up in that Waffle House to come down. I wouldn't expect to see the first ones emerge for another hour. "I don't think it gets turned on until after the recap episode," I said, and Mordecai said it updates slow anyway. Tonight's episode coincided with the closing of the first floor. I was hoping we could find a safe room before that. The episode was usually a little more than an hour long, and after that, Odette's show would air, and if that show was as popular as they'd implied, the views would start rolling in. I knew, deep down, that this was probably a good thing. The more fans, the better chances we had. But I still had a terrible, ominous feeling that all that attention was a mistake. There was something to be said about being anonymous, quietly efficient. That wasn't going to happen. Not here. Not when I had Donut with me. Looking about, the second floor was set up similar to the first, but instead of emerging at the end of a main hallway, I could see that we were in the middle of a quadrant. The floors here were white. The lichen on the wall had an orangish tint to it. The walls, instead of stone, were made of cinder blocks. I punched the wall with my gauntlet to see if it would break. A large crack appeared, but it wouldn't break further, like it was magically protected. I punched another nearby block, and the same thing happened. It cracked easily, but it didn't break more than that. Well, this is boring. How are we supposed to set the intergalactic internet on fire when the second floor is the same as the first floor? Donut asked. Mordecai had said that would be the case. It's not until the third or fourth floor that things start to get weird. Hopefully the monsters will be more exciting, Donut said. They'll be similar, just a little harder. Look, Donut said. When you zoom out the map, top right corner, northeast. I did, and immediately saw what she was looking at. The icon sat in the midst of the fog, but there it was. An overwhelming sense of relief washed over me. I didn't see any safe room or tutorial guilds, but at least we had this. Stairwell to floor 3. Let's work our way toward there and see about clearing that quadrant out, I said. Keep an eye open for safe rooms. I saw the X on the map the moment we turned the corner. My heart leaped, afraid that this was going to be the corpse of Agatha. But it was a smaller X, one of the mobs. There we go. I hovered over the spot and it read, Corpse, Level 2 Brindlegrub. Level 2? That's good. I wonder if Agatha killed it, I said. We wouldn't be able to tell until we were closer. A few more steps and a pair of red dots appeared in the same hallway between us and the body. They seemed to also be moving toward the corpse. Okay, be careful, I whispered. I peeked around the corner. There, the mobs were. A pair of fuzzy cat-sized monsters with no legs. Bugs with similar black and brown coloring to Donut. These were large, fat worms. They didn't appear to be moving too quickly. Also level 2. They were the same type of creatures as the corpse. Brindlegrub. Level 2. Have you ever found a dead, bloated, and decomposing body? Have you poked it with a stick just to see what would wiggle out? Perhaps rubbed it with your bare foot. You know you've wanted to. Well, wonder no more. Here on the second floor, rats are yesterday's news. Brindlegrubs are now all the rage, and janitor duty falls onto them. The more monsters you kill in the area, the more the grubs eat. The more the grubs eat, the bigger they get. Once you start finding them in pupa stage, you best move on. Grubs are easy to kill. Their older siblings, not so much. You take the left one. I'll get the second, I said as Donut jumped on my shoulder. We strode around the corner. Donut blasted the first one with a full power magic missile, and the thing exploded, leaving nothing but a white mess of goo. They had the same sort of squishy innards as the scatterer bugs from the first floor. Get ready with a heal scroll, in case their blood is acid or something, I said. I formed a fist, rushing up. The second grub was making a pitiful squeaking noise, trying to get away at a turtle's pace. I smashed down with my gauntlet. It was like punching pudding. A toddler could kill these things. The bug goo didn't appear to be toxic. The bugs didn't offer any discernible experience either. These seemed to be much less dangerous than the rats. I wondered what sort of monster they turned into. We moved to examine the smushed remains of the third corpse. It was as I suspected. Lootable corpse, Brindlegrub level 2, killed by crawler Agatha, vial of Brindlegrub hemolymph, alchemy material. It looked as if she'd run over the thing with her shopping cart. It took about 10 minutes before a corpse became lootable by other crawlers, and that was the only indication of how long ago this had been. Her head start was several hours by now, and thanks to our interlude on the surface... Her head start was several hours by now thanks to our interlude on the surface. I took the vial. Donut jumped down and sniffed at the corpse. She made a disgusted face. Repulsive. I see a couple more red dots one hallway over. I looked at my map, and the red dots weren't there. A blink, and then they appeared. I've been noticing that recently, that Donut could sense active monsters a few moments before I could. I suspected it had something to do with her race, but I wasn't certain. These dots were moving quickly down the adjacent hallway. Those aren't grubs. If the bugs are like the rats, then we haven't yet met the mobs of this quadrant. I took my foot, and I smashed down on the remains of the corpse that Agatha had killed. I smashed and crushed, smearing the innards all over the place until the X disappeared on the map. Carl, Donut said, looking between me and the splattered remains. Are you quite all right? Did you read that description of the grubs? I said as I wiped my foot on the cinder block. I could barely feel the bottom of my soles. The sides of my foot were still as sensitive as ever. We can't just leave corpses lying around, even their own corpses. Not in this part of the dungeon. From now on, we do our best to leave as little behind as possible. She crinkled her nose. I don't feel as if that's an efficient use of our time. My people aren't going to enjoy watching me desecrate the dead. This is just revolting. I'd much rather you not do this. Your people aren't going to enjoy watching you get killed by whatever these things grow up to be. We continued down the hall, churning a junction, then another, angling toward the other red dots. These guys were moving in what looked like a patrol pattern. I suspected if we continued farther in that direction, we'd find their base and the neighborhood boss. That wasn't something I wanted to tackle just yet. Let's go get these things already. It's taking too much time, Donut said, hopping up and down, with her collar charm and crooper. She sounded like a bell. God damn it, Donut, I said. You're a cat. You need to work on your stealth. The creatures paused. Then they both stopped in the hallway and started moving quickly in our direction. See, I said, we need to see what the mobs are before we force confrontations. I stepped out, waiting for them to round the corner. Donut returned to my shoulder. She was starting to reply to me, but she squealed in anger the moment the mobs appeared. She dug her paws painfully into my shoulder as she tensed. She fired off 2 rapid succession missiles. Both of the creatures hit the ground, their health moving into the red. Barely. They got up and continued toward us, snarling and snapping, and barking. The AI approximated a terrible Australian accent. Danger, Dingo, level 5. These aren't the cute, cuddly, baby-eating puppies from the land down under. No, mate. The Danger Dingo features a stronger body, sharper teeth, and a penchant for black metal bands, such as Dimmu Borgir and, I cannot say that, and Satyricon. Where there are dingoes, their kobold riders and slave masters usually aren't far behind. Die! Donut screamed, shooting 2 more missiles. Both of the monsters fell over, dead and steaming. She'd used 24 of her 26 mana points in seconds. She sat on my shoulder, breathing heavily. So, I said, looking down at the corpses, which continued their forward trajectory, sliding to a stop at our feet. Not a fan of dogs, are we? These guys didn't look much like regular dingoes. First off, they were huge, about the size of mastiffs. They each had a fur pattern on their faces that looked like heavy metal corpse paint. Their fangs were absurdly long and sharp, giving them an almost prehistoric look. Both dropped poor dingo pelts, which Donut looted. One of them also dropped something we hadn't seen yet, a pair of gold coins. Donut snatched them away before I could examine the money's properties. I must admit, I did get a little carried away there, Donut said, with a swipe of her claws. She ripped the dingo's head right off. She kicked it, and the head exploded against the wall. Once again, the corpses on this level were significantly more fragile once they died. I watched as she gingerly and matter-of-factly tore the corpse to shreds, careful not to get any more gore on herself. She kept saying, "Ew, ew, gross, ew," as she did it. She wasn't quite successful keeping the blood off of her, and by the time she was done, both her forward legs were soaked red. What happened to not wanting to desecrate corpses? Cocker spaniels deserve to have their corpses desecrated. Those aren't... I stopped myself. I wasn't going to argue with her. She knew perfectly well these weren't Cocker spaniels. She was just playing for the camera. Let's back out of this area for now. I indicated the curved hallway. I could see a few larger rooms ahead, and I suspected we'd be knee-deep in dingoes and kobolds if we went further. As we approached the main hallway, I didn't see any further signs of the dingo mobs, but we did find a couple more dead grubs, and plenty more living ones. The things were everywhere, and we had to kill them by the dozens. There's a safe room, Donut said. It's right off the hallway. I looked, and she was right. It was in the wrong direction from the stairwell, but it was close. We headed that way, edging into another quadrant. This one was filled with floating brains and tentacles tangling under them. They looked like jellyfish. Ugh, I love these things. They were called mind horrors, and were all level 4. They used something called the psionic attack. Donut wasn't affected at all by them, but I was. I could feel them before I saw them, their presence causing an almost debilitating headache. But they were physically weak, and they moved slowly, like little miniature blimps. I could punch them out of the sky before their mental attacks lowered my health more than a few points. The brain-shaped bodies had the consistency of a jam-filled cake ball. They bounced when they hit the ground, sometimes splattering. I didn't want to go further into this neighborhood, but we cleared the way to the safe room. The room, unfortunately, wasn't one of the restaurants with a babka protector, though the chamber itself was much bigger than any other safe room I'd seen. It appeared to be some sort of storm shelter. The signs on the doors for the restrooms were in French. The television screens were attached to the walls on one end of the cavernous room. About 50 dusty cots were pushed up against another wall. There was no food, no cookies, no vending machines, just bathrooms, showers, and sinks. But there was something I'd never seen before. A mailbox attached to a pole in the ground near the wall with the televisions. It was a standard black mailbox with a little red flag, the kind someone out in the suburbs would have in front of their house. I immediately moved to the box and tried to open the little door, but I received an error message. Why would someone send you mail? Weird, I said. The number of boxes and achievements we received was less than usual, but I still had quite a few. Several of my battle stats had also ticked up. I sat down on one of the cots and examined my achievements as Donut did the same. New achievement, Burrow Boss. So you've stumbled into the chamber of the second weakest type of boss. If you survive this, it means you are in the top 5% of all crawlers. Too bad only the top 0.25% make it past the next tier. Reward. Yeah, no. New achievement, Bully and a Thief. You've stolen property from a fellow crawler who is lower level than you. Who's next, tough guy? Kicking puppies. Reward, you've received a bronze assholes box. That one confused me for a moment, until I realized I'd gotten it for taking Agatha's shopping cart. New achievement, Battlefield Construction. You built a structure and deployed it in battle, and your mother thought you were wasting your life away while you spent all those hours eating Doritos and playing Minecraft. If only she could see you now. Too bad she's probably dead. Reward, you've received a silver mechanic box. For this next one, the AI once again used his sexy voice. I cringed. New achievement, this little piggy went to the market. Oh yeah, baby. You have killed more than 5 opponents during boss battles using your bare feet. You're making Daddy very, very happy. Reward, you've received a platinum shoebox. What the fuck, dude? I muttered at the ceiling. I shuddered. I eyed Donut, who was already opening her boxes. I wasn't going to tell her about this one. Still, a platinum box? That almost made it worth it. Almost. I couldn't wait to see what was in the random loot box. A few more achievements popped up, all concerning us defeating the boss, killing a burrow boss with a mixed group, killing a burrow boss in under 10 minutes, killing a burrow boss with more than 10 minions. None of the achievements offered any good loot except the silver boss box. After that, there was only one achievement left. New achievement. You found stairs. You have found a stairwell down to the next floor. They say the cream rises to the top. So what does that say about you? Reward. This barely qualifies as an achievement. Your reward is that you're alive to read this. Next, I moved to the loot boxes. The items appeared one by one, rapidly appearing and disappearing into my virtual bag. I went into my inventory, selected the new tab, and inspected the items one at a time. The assholes box bestowed 5 gold pieces with 3 pieces of paper. Drink ticket times 3 to the Desperado Club. When I examined the little red paper, all it said was, redeem at the Desperado Club for a free drink. I stared dubiously at the quotation marks around drink. The silver mechanics box contained a really interesting item, a tool. I pulled it out of my inventory and examined it. It looked like a silver, oversized lollipop with a button in the middle. The Gooinator 3000. This is a shaping tool. May only be used at a workbench. Assist in shaping materials into something else. You might want to keep the business end away from your face, though. That sounded pretty cool, but I wouldn't be able to use it until I bought a personal space, which I couldn't do until the 4th floor. For now, I would have to sit in my inventory and wait. Next up was the prize from the silver boss box. I'd received 100 gold coins and a potion. Cheat code potion. Warning. This item has a short shelf life. This item will expire shortly after it was generated. And in other words, this isn't something you can hoard. Don't be a wuss. Drink it now. Causes one recently used combat or magic themed skill to increase by 3. Choice is random and permanent. A red flashing timer appeared at the bottom of the description. It was down to 17 minutes and counting. Shit. I added it to my hot list and drink. I felt a crackling sensation in my mouth, like I downed a whole packet of Pop Rocks. Dude, I love Pop Rocks. They're so good. Your pugilism skill has been increased by 3. Your pugilism skill is now level 10. Damn. I had a pile of bonuses now, all relating to the unarmed combat. With the combination of my Iron Punch and powerful strike skills, plus my unarmed combat bonus and my pugilism skill, my fist packed just as much damage as Brandon's lightning maul. I knew the skills level would come more slowly now, but I could probably punch a steel beam and put a dent in it. At the same time, I knew my progress wasn't anything special, not compared to some of the others from the last recap episode. That Lucia Mar kid was completely decked out in a magical gear. She had an obvious dexterity bonus. The kid was running on walls and doing flips and shit already, splattering monsters with her mace. The crossbow woman with the Valkyrie helmet was also crazy strong, likely twice as powerful as me. I watched in awe as she picked up a bear-sized, slobbering tentacled monster and threw it into the air, shooting it twice with her repeating crossbow before it exploded. They were giving us these incredible upgrades, but I also knew the monsters were going to keep pace with our progress. And while I felt overpowered, a part of me feared I was actually falling behind. I had one last item to examine. God damn it, I muttered under my breath. I pulled it into my hand and examined its properties. It was a little black folder with a zipper. I zipped it open, revealing multiple miniature tools. Enchanted Pedicure Kit of the Sylph. The kit contains 12 essential items for proper foot care. The magical enhancements of this item may only be imbued with a safe or personal space. Warning, all of these enhancements require you to remain barefoot. Why? Because you know why. From a pumice stone to a cuticle pusher, this personal hygiene kit will keep your feet both luscious and in perfect fighting shape. Nightly care of your feet and toenails will result in the following bonuses. Plus 15% damage to barefoot attacks for 30 hours. Plus 3 to the smush skill for 30 hours. Plus unbreakable buff feet only, for 30 hours. This buff keeps your pretty little metatarsals nice and unbroken. Plus celestially nimble and tidy buff, feet only, for 30 hours. Not only will your tootsies look nice, bright, and shiny, but any trap set off by the footfalls will now prompt an alarm and have a 5-second delay before being triggered. I sighed. That very last buff was a great prize. Other than the Goblin Dozer, we hadn't dealt with any traps yet. Mordecai had mentioned them, but I didn't know when they would start showing up. We were going to need more than just a 5-second warning, but this was better than nothing. I looked at the kit dubiously before shoving it back into the inventory. I had no idea what most of those little metal items did. Would I have to use all of them to turn the enhancements on? How long would it take? Beatrice could literally spend hours in the bathroom poking, prodding, and plucking at herself. Donut usually sat on the counter in the bathroom with her, meowing for attention, which meant Donut had watched her do it a number of times. I was going to have to ask the cat if she knew how to use the items. Shit. I watched as Donut trotted over to the mailbox, leaped so she was standing on top of it, and then sat down at the front of the box. Opened up on it, oh my god, I literally can't. I watched as Donut trotted over to the mailbox, leaped so she was standing on top of it, and then sat down as the front of the box opened up on its own. A tome floated out and hovered before her. It vanished as she added it to her inventory. What the hell was that? I asked. She poofed her chest out. Thanks to that boss box, I am now a member of the Dungeon Book of the Floor Club. I get 1 spell book per level, which is mailed to me. What? Really? That's way better than what I received. What book did you get? Instead of answering me, her body flashed with light. She'd read the book, giving herself the spell. Ew, she said after a moment. What an awful spell. We really need to save these books things instead of wasting them. God damn it, don't... I caught myself. You know this. You have to read all the description before applying it to yourself. What is the spell? What does it do? I couldn't examine her spell, so I had to rely on what she told me. I knew she had 4 spells, not including this new one. She had the heal spell, everyone started with, torch, magic missile, and puddle jumper, which she'd only tried once. She also had a tome of minion army she couldn't yet read. And I had that tome of wisp armor. It's called Second Chance. It costs 10 mana to cast. I can raise a monster from the dead. It has to be lower level than me. They will fight for us for as many minutes as the spell's level. The level is 1, so it only lasts for a minute. Holy crap, I said. That's badass. It's a necromancy spell. It's disgusting, Donut said. She shuddered. The dead are gross enough. It's much worse when they're moving around. It's probably groaning and stuff too. You know how I feel about groaning. I had a quick memory of being slashed at once while B and I were getting busy. It wasn't very funny at the time, but we laughed about it later. Donut had gotten banned from the bedroom during sexy time after that. She'd howl at the door, and we'd have to put music on to drown her out. Whatever happened to killing them with style, I said, trying not to laugh. One doesn't have to resort to gore-themed violence in order to be stylish. Yeah, I said, but imagine raising one of those dingoes back from the dead and using it to kill other dingoes. And then raising that one too. You'd be like the Lucia Marr kid with her 2 dogs, but yours will be zombie dogs. Her eyes got huge. This is the best spell ever. And that was the end of chapter 30. Yes. So they found their little... So at the beginning of the chapter, they found that when they got to the 2nd floor, they were immediately, like, in the area to go to the 3rd floor. So they know where the stairs are now. And then they found their little, what's it called? Safe zone area and opened other loot boxes. I love the AI system just because of how, like, hilarious it is towards Carl, like, giving him the foot care package. It's just the best. This book has one of, like, the best humors I've, like, ever read in a while, and I just love it. I am gonna, like, stop a little early today because I literally, like, my throat is just hurting so bad. So we're gonna have to stop a little early today. I know, so sad. But the next time I do this stream, hopefully my throat will feel better and I'll make it a little longer. But don't leave just yet. We're gonna go find someone to raid real quick. Give me just 1 minute. Let me set up the raid. There we go. Got the raid set up. But yes, I will be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow it is... What is tomorrow? What are we playing? What are we playing tomorrow? I literally can't recall. What are we playing tomorrow? What the fuck am I... I'm literally trying to remember. I'm pulling a blank. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, The Last of Us. We're playing The Last of Us tomorrow. So definitely come check me out then too. If not, that's alright. I will catch you in the next one. But hopefully you travelers had a good time listening tonight. I know, like, I kept messing up a lot and, like, kept, like, pausing because I was literally swallowing so hard because there was just, like, my throat has been hurting and I'm just like, eh. But anyway, yes, definitely come check me out tomorrow. Hopefully I will see you there. But have a good night, day, whatever it may be for you travelers, and bye-bye.